Hello everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. Videos at the bottom of the video, as awkward as that always sounds to say. I'm not recording this live on Twitch. You can see it's a little bit later in the evening just from the hue of my face and the lighting in the room and whatnot. I don't know, I woke up this morning and I was like, you ever had those days where you're just like, you need to just relax your brain and reset. I did my stream early. I didn't want to do a live episode. I just want to kick back and relax for the rest of the day. I think it's kind of like this lull of YouTube videos that there's not really like a whole lot to do. But we've got Neil on Tuesday. We've got Mobius coming to North America on Steam. We've got February 21st. We have the Final Fantasy 15 limited time hunts and a little bit of patch stuff there, so we should see some 15 videos from that. The weekend before that, we have the European Fan Fest, the reveal of the other job, some more expansion information. We have a bunch of stuff, and then March is super busy, so I think I'm just like anxious to get those months underway because I know the next 5 months are going to be crazy. Switch my brain off for today. But we were just doing this. We have, I think, about 15 or 16 questions to get through, and we have a cameo from Aloha occasionally. I'm assuming he's behind me somewhere. So let's get started. All right, first question. Hey, Hap, seems like this video comes out in time. Yeah, it'll be out on Monday at least, that much I could say. Have a question roulette. Okay, so in regards to Return to Ivalice, what if and about the Garlean Legion? Let's go with Return to Ivalice right here. Do you think we'll visit the Lusu mines and might even meet up with Gilgamesh again for a little dance? I'm not opposed to the idea. I don't know how many names they'll be borrowing from Ivalice for that 24-man. There's also the theory that Ethos and I think Ethos still subscribes to this theory, where we think that Ivalice is actually just a bunch of city-states somewhere to the east, and it's not the actual Ivalice from Final Fantasy 12 or Tactics. I think we're pretty sound on squashing that theory that we share the world of Ivalice and Eorzea. It's just Ivalice in Eorzea. It's just kind of like how the Crystal Tower is in Eorzea. It's not actually canon with Final Fantasy 3, but it's just a namesake for the sake of nostalgia. So I don't know that we'll go specifically to the Lusu mines. I'm all down for Gilgamesh because we know he's hanging around still, and there's Aloha hanging. Now he wants to get out of the room, but it's all right. Anyway, yeah, I don't think we'll see specifically the Lusu mines, but we'll see some places, I'm sure. All right, next question. Hey, Haps only asked one question in the past, so have ether, like MP ether. I thought you were going to say either for a second. One, new tomestones of Yoshi P when you can trade. Oh, I can. Okay, so you meant to say either, but you said ether. Okay. Or a new playable. Okay, we're taking the first one. I don't ever want to play as a Moogle. For the love of goodness, I don't even want to play with the Moogles. So Final Fantasy 14 was the first time I've picked up the tank role in that of a paladin. Yeah, I know the dislike, but since it's my first, I fell in love with it. I recently moved over to Dark Knight, but I still use my paladin for new content like 24-mans or trials, and when I can't be asked to keep an eye. Yeah, I had to think of CBA for a second. To keep an eye on my MP. But my question is, when off-taking as a paladin in trials or 24-mans, and there's other paladins, should I just be using my DPS combos, or should I be throwing in a Rage of Halone every here and there? Or does a debuff not stack? So you can only have, that's his bell, you can only have one Rage of Halone on the target at any given time. Your main tank, since generally they're trying to generate aggro, and you don't really know how that's going to go in a 24-man, it's common for the main tank to be the one responsible for applying that while he's in Shield Oath anyway. Now, I'm not saying that's how all tanks do it. You're going to see plenty of situations where maybe a boss doesn't really do a whole lot of physical damage, or maybe a paladin, not only that, but maybe the paladin is also perfectly fine on enmity. He's ahead of everybody. Normally, with the help of a ninja, that's somewhat feasible. And in cases like that, where Halone is not really needed, it's not abnormal for the tank to just forego it. However, if the boss generally doesn't need Halone in the first place, that still doesn't make it your responsibility as the off tank. So I'd say yes, stick to your DPS combos, the things that are giving you the most output as an off tank, since that is what your role is. You are not the main tank at that time. And yeah, let the main tank worry about it, or let the rest of the raid group worry about it. Now, if you're the only paladin in the group, it helps. I won't say don't do it. If you're the only one who can provide that strength debuff and you know it's actually helping with the mitigation. But other than that, no. If there's two paladins, then you're probably good to just spam your DPS combos, as long as the other paladin is the main tank. Alright, next question. Hey Haps, first time posters who have all the burb bonus luck you want. Question is in bold. Thank you. Just wanted to know your thoughts on finding a static or raid-focused free company. I'm currently on Odin, and my free company is always adding new players, but not focusing on raids and new content. When we do attempt it, coordination goes out the window, and we wipe. As a 260 Dragoon, I seem to do decent DPS and do my role, but I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. A Dwayne and a hard place, if you may. Do you think there should be a more efficient way than the Party Finder to find statics free companies? Most people use Reddit or the recruitment forums on either Reddit or the official forums. Some people go into the cross-server Party Finder, look for people who are advertising. Some people shout saying, hey, I'm this item level, looking to do this. There are a bunch of other ways. To put something in-game that's equivalent to that of a permanent recruitment thread, I don't know that that's necessarily, well, necessary, because that's what people use the Party Finder. I don't know what happened to my accent right there. The Party Finder for anyway. So, yeah, I mean, your only other real bet is to just go to some of the real life, outside of game, I should say, resources that we have, and that's probably where we're going to have the. All right, next question. Hey, Happy, long-time watcher, first-time asker, so have your choice of any class in Final Fantasy history to play in Stormblood. Puppet Master. I have two questions for you. One is tiny, and second one's a little more lengthy. These are both pretty short, so I'm assuming you think my answers will be lengthy. They're always lengthy. Kappa. First, do you think that scholars will ever get summon glamours like summoners did? If so, what would they be? You know, people have suggested just different colored fairies. Let me say this. I don't think scholars will ever get it. I am, however, not opposed to it being implemented. We already have the system in place. It's just about developing maybe the different colored fairies. Some people suggest maybe something like the anima and what it looks like would be a decent what's it called, glamour for them. And some people have suggested maybe the phoenix, you know, a tiny phoenix eggy or something, like a Bennu eggy or whatever. I don't think it'll happen, but I'm not opposed to it or them doing something along those lines. Secondly, my favorite Final Fantasy is 4, so I absolutely love the nods. I was just playing Record Keeper, and the Final Fantasy 4 event against Rubicante is now, and I just finished the Ultimate Plus Plus, I think it was. Let's see, love the nods in Heavensward with Kane Minion and the Baron gear, but I always have thought that the 4 Elemental Lords would be a great raid to have in game. You know, I've always thought the same thing. Our game is kind of designed around in such a way that the 4 fiends can fit in a single instance. They can fit across an entire raid tier. I mean, think about it. So like Muhammad, you have, yeah, he's trying. He didn't try to get out for a while. I might bring him into the video here in a little bit. Depends on how loud he starts meowing. Think about the, like, originally, you have, you know, the one end boss of the first raid tier, you have, like, the big end boss of the second raid tier, and then the final raid tier generally has 2 super bosses, in a sense, you know, not super bosses, but, you know, bosses that are a little bit more involved, or good nods back to a previous entity, in that of Phoenix and Bahamut, and then eventually in that of, Ark from Final Fantasy IX and Alexander. Both Final Fantasy IX, technically, you want to go and just put them both in the same category. So yeah, I think, and then on top of that, most of our raid tiers have exactly 4 bosses. You know, our 24-man raids have 4 bosses. Not to say it's going to stay that way, but I think the Elemental Lords is a theme that I'm surprised we've avoided it up till now. It's one of the most classic themes of Final Fantasy, even going back to Final Fantasy 1. Granted, Tiamat obviously not going to be one of the 4 fiends. But yeah, I think there's plenty of room to fight the 4 fiends. I think there's plenty of room and plenty of inspiration from other Final Fantasy games that we haven't seen yet, so please look forward to it. Alright, next question. Good day, Happy. Good day. That's no better than the accent I accidentally did before. First time poster and long time viewer, so have a bonus of cookies and beer. This sounds like, are you sure you're not asking Sly a question? Because that sounds like more of a Sly answer. It might take a while to get to you as I'm coming from Australia. Ooh. You know what? I can always go for a good sour, so I'll take the beer. And chocolate chip cookies, who could turn it down. I have a 2-part question. Great. I don't remember where I heard this, but I have in my head that the devs were interested in the community's reaction to the A11 Savage transition mechanic jumping on the ship. And we're contemplating introducing a new fight against Doom Train Phantom Train using the same mechanics where we as players have to jump from carriages to reach the engine. 1, am I just going crazy, or is this idea that has some actual backing from the dev team? So the only conversation they've realistically had about A11 Savage's transition mechanic is that originally they wanted you to do a number of button combinations, and they found that people were struggling with it in the dev tests. So they made it so if you press any button, you automatically get the mechanic completed. They, however, never drew a real parallel to Doom Train and Phantom Train. This is, however, something that I've made parallels to. I've always envisioned the Doom Train, Phantom Train either as a dungeon or as a boss where you have to go carriage to carriage. It's just something that I personally have brought up on previous Mondays with Mr. Happy as an idea that's possible, but not an idea that has any sort of dev backing. To help out with that a little bit, in the last, wasn't the last one, was it this last one or was it the one before? In one of the last 2 anniversary events, we had the Wind Up Doom Train pop up, and so a lot of people are anticipating that the Wind Up Doom Train will be coming in the near future. We've yet to hear anything confirming the fact, but we'll see what's actually going to happen with that. And 2, let's see here. With the current mythos and lore of the Final Fantasy XIV universe, would it be possible to implement Doom Phantom Train based on what we know besides linking it to the train tracks in Central Dandelion? So the Phantom Train already exists in Final Fantasy XIV. It is a train that transfers, if I'm not mistaken, between Castrum Oriens, which is where Baelsar's Wall was, well, still is technically, but, you know, and either Castrum Meridianum or one of the other Castrums. It's mentioned in the original 2.0 main story around the level 40 to 42 mark, I believe, and it's just... They call it the Phantom Train because nobody actually rides the train. You know, it's not inhabited, so they snuck aboard it very easily. We're more likely to see a Doom Train eventually, and not so much the Phantom Train, unless the Phantom Train with the Garleans is hijacked and with a bunch of crystals on board, they turn the train into, you know, that's always possible. There's also, people have suggested maybe they could do a large-scale fate like Odin or Behemoth in Central Dandelion, where the Doom Train just gradually, very, very slowly, goes across the train tracks in Central Dandelion, or even maybe he constantly moves between them and you have to keep chasing him and finding him, or some other thing. I don't know. But there's nothing set in stone regarding the Doom or Phantom Train, and that's my opinion on whether or not we'll see it. Alright, next question. Aloha, Mr. Happy. I get it, that's the name of my cat. Aloha, Dwayne the Cat Johnson. So, for 4.0, would you rather see the Warriors of Light lose our strength in order to not be so overpowered for new content, or see the new enemies be overwhelming more powerful than our current Warriors of Light strength? Sloppy. So, keep in mind that we lost our strength once before already, and it doesn't actually impact leveling, because levels are not necessarily canon to the game. They mix and match it. At times, like, obviously you have certain aspects of the story while you're leveling up, and then you have a hard mode where, like, these random things that are level 60 are all of a sudden in there. You can't really take level and our ability to actually combat enemies too literally based on what happens in the story. You're never going to hit a point of the story where they go, oh, well, you just got screwed. Now all your stats are going to be minus 20% for the next X amount of story quests. You know what I mean? Excuse me. I mean, you may see that in, like, single, singular instances where it's just you and maybe some NPCs, and they could do it back to back, but you'll never see it affect group content. So it's really hard to label something. I have no personal preference. All I know is just I want to see the story unfold, how they plan to unfold it, and I need it to be interesting. I don't need to lose power. I don't need to be this overwhelming power. I just need to know that there's a story and there's a world and we're watching it evolve. That's all I need. All right, next question. Top of the morning to you. Top of the morning to you too, lad. Kiltastic here again, bringing Murder Hobo to a new level of refinement. I don't even want to question that. I'm just going to go on to the question. You get a lot of questions asking what you think will happen with jobs and story, which I always answer very ambiguously because what I think is not the Bible. But let's take a different look at jobs in 4.0. What do you want? Ooh, I kind of answered that before when I said Puppet Master, didn't I? We know Red Mage is happening and are you excited? Tell us your dreams for Red Mage. Do you want Blue Mage? Do you want Samurai? Some third things? 3 jobs? Let's make today about you happy. All about you. Me. This guy, who's got 2 thumbs and his name is Mr. Happy. This guy. Have a great week, sir. You have a great week as well. So, what do I want? It has nothing to do with jobs. Puppet Master is like a bucket list thing. Like, one day, maybe they'll just be high enough in the dev room and go, Puppet Master. Puppet. Yeah, Puppet Master. We'll do that. Okay. Maybe that'll happen. He's already shut it down once, though, so probably not. I kind of just want more content. You know, I'm not someone who ever thinks we'll have this gratuitous amount of content that will keep me logging in every day and ignoring game releases. But I would like, you know, a 5th raid boss, or, you know, or not to have 2 dungeons in the expert roulette, or more things like Palace of the Dead, or something more interesting for crafters and gatherers to do, maybe something that would make me more invested in it. And remember, you're asking me what I want. You're not asking me what I think the game needs. You're asking me what I want. So I'm being a little selfish with these answers right now. A little selfish, you know. Well, it's all what I want. So yeah, it's just a little selfish. Not that selfish, just a little bit. I want Samurai Tank. Just to piss people off, I want that. There you go. Alright, next question. Hello. Hello. What kind of question do you enjoy answering the most? You know what? Not a question that asks me what questions I like. I'm just kidding. It's just story questions, gameplay questions, raid questions, real life. You know, I don't mind. I like a mix. I don't like it to ever just be like, I don't like when I go and I do a Monday video and fucking 7 people ask me, how can we buff Paladin? And it's like, it's not their fault. They didn't, you know, I don't expect people to read the other questions or to know every question that's been asked every week. But whenever I get one of those, I go, alright, I might as well just copy paste this and put it on the screen at some point or something like that, you know? I like a good mix, you know. It's nice to talk about things I think about YouTube and Twitch. It's nice to answer real life questions here and there. I've been answering gameplay questions, story questions, raid questions for years and years and years. And I try to keep my own, like, personal image out of it unless otherwise provoked, or unless I really feel like it's something I need to share with you guys. Mostly because you guys are here for entertainment. You're not here to hear. You're not here to hear. I made sure to pantomime that. My sob stories or anything about me. If you ask, I will answer, but I will not force it upon you unless it is something that people are genuinely interested in hearing. So, the answer is anything. I just want a good variety of them. Alright, next question. A. There's no E's at the end. It's A, but no E. Okay. Haps. So, I love you, boy, at this, but Homeboy hasn't posted a new video in weeks. So, I'm fiending for some more. So, the problem is outside of what's, like, in the game that he, like, already knows, and, like, he's been pretty... So here's the thing. Ethis has been busy. Ethis had to entertain a guest for about a week. Then he's back on streaming. He's really focused. See, this is what happened to me when I started streaming. I had the YouTube channel and I started streaming, and you just get so wrapped up in the live involvement with people and the positive emotions that come with it, the support, the people who, you know, really want to encourage you and push you to the next step. You see it on YouTube, but you see it a lot more, and it's a lot more personal on Twitch. So I can't speak for Ethis. You know, I don't say, hey, Ethis, check in. Where's the next video, dude? Dude. I mean, same thing happened to Mary when he first started streaming too. I mean, it just happens. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of how much time do you feasibly have and how much time is there in a day, you know? So, he's, you know, that's not even the question that you asked me. You asked me, what are some other channels besides yours and Mithri's that I can check out for some lore? Does Anonymous have... See, I always read Anonymous, who's another big lore guy. I read his text stuff, like when he posts it. But I actually don't... I think he does have a YouTube channel. I should just check right now. In the middle of the video, Anonymous. Let's see. Yeah, that's a YouTube channel. Is this the same Anonymous, though? That's what I need to know. I need to know if this is... I do not think this is the same Anonymous, because these are very different things from things I would expect. These are Team Fortress 2 videos. So, Final Fantasy 14. There's Anonymous, the lore forum. I see Raimdell Codex, Loremonger. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see a YouTube channel. Looks like he was on Musecast episode 11. But yeah, I mean, if you're up to reading some lore stuff, Anonymous is a great guy, and to read some of the stuff that he has to put out about the lore. So I noticed at the end of the last question, the forum thread for this says it's week 1030. I promise you, it is not week 1030. Anyway, next question. Hello, Mr. Happy. This is Final Sim, and welcome to my question on your channel. First of all, please don't get mad at me for asking the same question twice on your stream. I have bad internet, and sometimes I don't see who answers are writing. Or a chunk of stream that always goes missing. I miss the answer. I love you. Yeah, that's always frustrating when there's like a really common question and then one person asks it twice in a row and you're like, I just said that. Okay, I have a piece of advice. If you're gonna ask questions on Twitch, and I've seen most people do this, but sometimes you don't. Ask if you didn't catch a question because you either A, stopped paying attention in the 20 seconds it took me to acknowledge your question, or this is any Twitch chat, honestly, or B, your internet cut out or your chat didn't load or something, proceed it with that information. Don't assume that the broadcaster or the rest of the stream knows. They're assuming when you ask the question and they answer the question that you received the information. If you just ask it again without saying, why am I saying ask like that? Ask. If you just repeat the question without proceeding with like, hey guys, sorry, my internet cut out, my chat didn't load, my headset was off or something like that, proceed it with something so that way they know, okay, he missed the question for this reason, okay, I don't mind answering again. So now on to the question. You said the best way to prepare for the next expansion is making go. This is generally the best way to make do for major increases in item level, because the better your item level is, the earlier in the patch, and this is also true if you're a non-raider, or you're trying to get into raiding, I guess I should say. You're a non-raider trying to get into raiding. The better the item level of stuff you have is within the first 2 weeks, the more likely a group is going to look at you and go, that person is dedicated to the idea of improving their gear fast enough to raid. Now, of course, 2 weeks out, if you've had no success, it starts getting a lot harder. People have been picking stuff up. Prices have dropped. More people have this stuff. It ends up, they don't know if you're an alt, if you're a main, how much raid experience you have. People start expecting you to know the fights or to have watched a guide or whatever, to read a guide. Doesn't matter. But making guild means getting higher item level faster. It means melding stuff. It means having pots. It means having food. It means getting that hot new glamour that you want, the real end game. Yeah. So what's the fastest way to make gil now? That's excluding crafters and gatherers. You just excluded the fastest way to make gil. There's so many ways to make gil in this game. I can't give you just one. I mean, I've been doing desynthesis. I've been doing maps. I've been doing selling materia from the Realm Reborn Beast Tribe quests, I've been doing Palace of the Dead, you sell the grade 5 materia, you get out of that, or you store the grade 5 materia so you don't have to spend the money on it when the expansion comes out, even though we're expecting grade 6 materia to hit. You can look for a low level piece of material and gather that. I know you said to exclude crafting and gathering, but honestly you don't even need to be max level to really make money out of it. You can buy materials with lore, with Tomestones of Lore. You can buy materials from your Grand Company vendor for Grand Company seals. You can do squadron stuff and then use, you can get grade 4 material from them. You can get a bunch of other stuff. There's so many different ways to just funnel gil into your pocket that I can't tell you which one's the fastest. I'd imagine crafting and gathering are still the fastest. So that's my answer, unfortunately, even though you told me to exclude it. Alright, next question. Hey, Mr. Happy, I hope you remember us when you come back in time from 2034's Mondays with Mr. Happy 900 weeks in the future. I'm going to assume this is going to call back to episode 1030. So, no, I don't remember, because I'm lame. Captain Cryptic Voice from 13-2. Question time. Dun dun. Did that work? Was that effective? I hope it was effective. With Stormblood being so close, and it is 5 months away, not even at this point. With Stormblood being so close, it's time to get everything to 60 to prep for helping my free company. Are skill rotations actually something I should be worrying about anymore with the new overhaul? So many different names. I guess overhaul is closer to being correct, because we don't exactly know what the level of interaction they are going to have with these skill changes and whatnot is going to be. I mean, it always helps to have a basic understanding, because what happens if you know the rotations of jobs, and honestly knowing all of them is not feasible for most people, but if you know the basics, when new stuff happens or when stuff changes, you already have all of your skills kind of power ranked in your head. How important is disembowel, what are the timings that I need for Blood of the Dragon, how many Skogul's can I get out in a minute, things like that you can power rank, and as soon as those abilities change or you have new things come into the fray, you can start placing them in the power ranking of your current skills, and it gives you a better understanding of when you need to be using the new skills or the changed skills when they release. So if you're serious about playing any of those jobs, yes, you should probably learn the current rotations, despite the fact you're going to be seeing some more changes come the expansion. But don't overstress yourself about it. You're not trying to be the #1 greatest of all these different jobs when it comes to the raid scene. And also, on a similar note, are you looking forward to making 14 plus new class videos when the actual changes occur? So that was actually the original plan with Heavensward, and I totally dropped the ball. I made maybe 4 or 5 of them, and I didn't finish. I couldn't finish because I was trying to level them all to 60 in the 2 weeks I had before Gordius and Gordius Savage, technically 4 weeks, came out, and I was just getting burnt out on the new expansion leveling. So theoretically, yes, I actually am excited because I like making content. That is the thing I like doing, but I need and this was what I was talking about earlier, I need things to motivate me, I need things to interest me. And when there's that many new class videos, I can guarantee you when they release the new job video or the job ability video like they did last time, I'm doing fucking 15 videos on that. I can already tell you that right now. I don't care. People go, oh, he's just doing fucking 15 in this video. Blah, blah, blah. I don't give a shit. I'm talking about it because that's what I fucking do. So I'm looking forward to it, yes. Alright, next question. Hello, Mr. Happy. Hope you're having a great day. Spoiler for 3.5 Warring Triad story. Let's scroll up. You can see the whole reply thing like I usually have cut out. We thumbs up. Remember, when you see this thumbs up again, the spoilers are done. Mute the video, watch it. We'll see how quick this goes. We're going to take this off the screen, and let's get underway. So, it's regarding Regula Van Hydrus's part in the last bit, because I keep hearing people say that it's great and whatnot, but I seriously can't stomach it. The way he just changed his view and befriended us and saved Unakal High is so unconvincing. I know that to each his own and what we all prefer is different, but the way they handle his end, in my opinion, was so cheap and quite disappointing. The Heavensward main story raised the quality bar too high in terms of story and character development. What do you think? I think there are certain expectations for Regula Van Hydrus, expectations that even I had set, that they went in a different direction. Now, I've made this discussion before, but each of the leaders of the individual legions is a callback to a character or villain from the previous Final Fantasy. Nael Van Darnus was a callback to Sephiroth. He summoned Meteor. He has several scenes that are similar to Sephiroth's, and this obsession with, with Bahamut, with Meteor. I'll just keep it with Meteor because that's the simplest way. Gaius Van Belsar, unique story to Final Fantasy XIV. He was the leader of the 14th Legion. We have Regula Van Hydrus, leader of the 6th Legion, deeply involved in the Warring Triad story. And then on top of that, we also had, well, we have Xeno, who's going to be part of the 12th, and we're interested to see where he actually goes with that one. I'm missing one, though. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not actually missing one. Yeah, we'll go with that. 7, 6, 14, and 12. Those are the 4 legions that we've interacted with so far for the most part. And yeah, he actually, instead of being like Kefka, like I had predicted, he was actually more like General Leo. You know, he's very loyal to his emperor, but at the same time, he was a man of honor. And it's hard to tell that because we didn't get enough time with him. But you see that at the end where he cares about his men, he cares about, he cares about the Empire. It's still his #1 priority, but he's not going to put the lives of men at risk so willy-nilly, and he won't let them suffer a fate worse than death in that of being tempered by a primal. He also won't present the Emperor with this, incredibly weak technology that's completely flawed thanks to the work of one of the Warring Triad, Sophia, and her followers that came before. So I don't think he's weak. I think he's a character I would have liked to have seen more frequently because he had the potential to be so much more. And they were sort of limited by the number of resources, time, and what story they could actually feasibly tell with the Warring Triad without making it or blowing it up into bigger proportions than it actually was. But I personally was very happy with him. I don't feel like he was lower than the standard Heavensward had set. He just took a different route that I think most of us predicted. Oh, and by the way, before I forget, I think we only have like 5 more questions to go, so let's do this. Hello, Hap. I didn't give you a first-time bonus on my first question ever, so I have a legendary Ozma fight. Wow, you're really good at this, aren't you? You made a great first impression. Really good second one, too. Because I'm a Dark Souls player, and we suffer for our rewards. That's why I'm looking forward to Neo on Tuesday. So on to my question. With 14, I just want to argue that the story, while amazing, can be extremely verbose. It seems not to be a problem with Final Fantasy, but a lot of storytelling in many JRPGs. Last week you commented about a different player basis, how they enjoy the game differently. Do you think this is a problem in certain Japanese storytelling? Could this be a potential argument for why Dark Souls is very popular in the West for its minimalistic storytelling, among other great elements, and also why it spawns so many lore videos on Dark Souls? So I feel like Final Fantasy XIV is very verbose, and that is because it is trying to directly tell you a story. And the lore in the game, I mean, even when you look at Dark Souls, the main story is given you in small chunks. It's up to you whether you want to care about that world or not. And it's very steeped in mystery. Now, Final Fantasy XIV is steeped in anticipation. You don't ever get to see the entire world, and there are pieces that you will never be able to put together until it's implemented into the game later. Dark Souls does have that, especially when you try to connect all 3 of the games and the DLC that's coming out soon that I fucking forgot about. That's very soon. That's another thing on the list that I need to do. But there's plenty to explore. It's a missing aspect of the game that's not spoon-fed to you. So you get to choose how you enjoy it, or how much you want to enjoy it, or what you want to know. You get to gauge that level of interest. If you don't care at all, the gameplay is still there, the invading is still there, the boss fights are still there, and you can put some pieces together, especially if you've played the other Dark Souls games, without even really doing much reading. Meanwhile, in Final Fantasy XIV, they're trying to tell you a story. You need to be paying attention, you need to be listening, because they're like, this is the story, and now here it is, okay, now here's the next, okay, here, and then the next, and then all the information between. It's not really steeped in mystery, it's just background information for the world. You already know what's happening in the world, and this is literally just like, I wonder where the Makotes originate from. Oh, they are believed to have originated from Mericidia, and they crossed during the calamity in which the ocean between the two formed an ice bridge. Cool, that's really good information, but it's never important for the story itself or for you to understand the story itself. It's just background on the world that we currently exist in. So it sounds like you specifically are more intrigued in that whole steeped in mystery kind of aspect, where there's this dark secret that you need to uncover. Whereas Final Fantasy XIV, there is no dark secret. We're given the most direct information. Alright, next question. Hello, Dr. Drew. How I talk to grills. Okay, here's how you talk to grills. Hi. Okay, that's gonna be a fucking tweet on my Twitter, because that's where tweets go. Also, in order to combat the overcrowding of hotbars and crossbars that comes with the addition of new abilities, instead of removing abilities, couldn't they just allow macros to work as quickly as 0.01 or 0.1 second intervals instead of the current half or full second intervals? It doesn't even do half second intervals, it just does fucking full intervals. It seems like we can macro ability rotations together without losing the benefit of skills being able to help clean up our UI. On a side note, macro icons need to show corresponding tooltips for the ability. It's insane that they don't. So we've got two things. For one, you can't just make them do 0.01 or 0.1 intervals for a multitude of reasons. One, a macro will fail as soon as don't know why I said it like that. As soon as you run into an issue or any sort of hiccup in latency, because it's checking for a very exact time, which as soon as that hiccup happens, the macro doesn't trigger correctly, and bam wham, you're done. Second of all, you're now giving the player the tool to reduce their hotbars to certain degrees. You're also creating, the thing is, if you create this isn't just a way of cleaning up the UI. This is going to make you play your job better because you have less individual buttons to pay attention to. You're giving people a superior method that maybe not everyone knows about. You're not sat down and told, hey, so we're doing this with macros and this is going to be the best now, so do that. They're never going to do that. Macros are there for convenience, they're for fun, for chat messages, for raid callouts, for whatever it is that you want to use them for. But they never want them, and I totally commend them for doing it this way, they never want them to be the go-to method for playing your job correctly. There's always a trade-off there, and there always will be. I think it's the smart decision to encourage players to actually understand what their abilities do, and to not just be told by somebody, you put all these abilities into macro, put all these abilities into macro, put all these abilities into macro, good fucking luck. Because that's the best what you're going to get. I do agree that it'd be nice that if it only has a single ability, let me make this clear, if it only has a single ability in the entire macro, I do agree it would be nice with the Mycon to show the tooltip for it. So you got me on that one. Alright, next question. Hey, Mr. Happy, I hope you're having a great weekend. Dude, I just chilled this whole weekend. I did not do much at all. I have a 99 roll in case you need it. Mounts. Here are my questions. 1. What is the deal with Sloppy? I have heard in State of the Realm and LBR, but I missed the story. Go back and do Baelsar's Wall with character voices turned on. That's all you need to know. 2. Recently, I've been kind of reluctant to get into Raids Trials. I need to learn Clear and Party Finder. Is it possible that I am burnt out of the game? Yeah. I mean, you're the one who will know if you're burned out. I can't ever be the one to tell you you're burned out. You literally have to look at the game and go, you know what? Do I want to log in today? No? Cat, what are you doing? No? Well, what do I want to do instead? You got to really reach inside and ask yourself that question and not me. Because I don't know you. So I don't know if you're burning yourself out or not. And that's the best answer I could give. 3, do you think that the changes to jobs in 4.0 will increase or decrease the performance gap? They said they want to maintain the performance gap or at least they want to maintain the current level of difficulty that there is in performing your job now. That being said, it feels like they want to create tools for players to improve more steadily. And no, we're not talking about DPS, parsers. We're talking about things like, visual aids, like, oh, if you have, is a Nokian about to fall off? Well, it's going to start flashing on the screen. Or, maybe when, you have 3 stacks of grease lightning, maybe there's something on the screen that lets you know, other than your little buff bar where it's hidden across all your other buffs, like 5, 6, 12 buffs at times, when you're doing your openers and stuff. So, I don't think it will increase the performance gap. I think the goal is to keep it the same or decrease it, and it's going to be one of those two. Alright, as you can see, I have a guest. He wanted a lot of attention, so here he is. He's kind of hard to see because, I'm trying to make sure he's a little comfortable here. And he's trying to lick the microphone. Don't do that. Here. Wait for me. Wait for me, cat. Hola, Senor Feliz. Greetings from Argentina. Thank you very much for replying to my questions a few weeks ago about changing server for low population. I finally stayed on Brynhilder. Found a nice free company where we raid and have much fun. Whew. My question, I had to chase him around a little bit. My question now is about the animal weapon. The other week I spent 5,400 lore for the 3 ethereals. A few days ago it got nerfed. And a few days later, really? It got nerfed? They actually did nerf? I actually didn't pay attention at all. They said they were going to, and then nobody mentioned it to me. So I was like, okay, I guess they just didn't do it. No, apparently they did it. Yeah. Yeah, no, we knew they were getting nerfed. If you were frequently on Reddit or the official forums or like my Twitter or my videos, you knew they were nerfing them ahead of time. So yeah. Do you know when they are going to nerf Sand Umbrite Step? I think the goal was either 3.55 or 3.5 Part 2. One's at the end of February, one's in March. So, well, it should be one of those two. 2, when it happens, they are definitely going to lower the price of Umbrite. Yeah, I agree. To 150 most likely. Actually, so I considered that. The thing they did with the original step is they cut the cost and they doubled the efficiency. So I'm curious, they cut the cost, if it was 300 per item, then it was 150. On top of that, you only needed 10 of them. So the efficiency of one purchase went up by pretty much, 4 times. So, well, I guess actually it just doubled, but whatever. I'm trying to do math and I'm too dumb to do it right now. So let's just stop. There's a rule against that. Never do math on a YouTube video or stream unless you're goddamn sure you're right. Don't ever wing it. So, do you think they're also going to lower the requisites for exchanging crystal sand? So I think that they're going to make Umbrites worth 6 points at base. That is the big thing I think is going to happen. And I still think that when you're more than halfway, you'll still be able to get the bonuses. But the fact that you're getting 6 at base pretty much brings it from, 80 down to 40 immediately plus bonus. So that's what my expectation is, but there's nothing to confirm that yet. So we'll just have to wait and see. All right, and this is actually the final question. Hello, Mr. Happy. Easy question for you. Do you think Sly looks like Luke Cage? Why or why not? Hint, don't say because he's black. So I'm going to say you're racist. That is like the... First of all, that is like the... How are you going to look like Luke Cage? Like, what are you going to look like, a white Luke Cage? No. That reminds me of a funny story. I think I was 12 years old, and for Halloween, I dressed up as Blade. Now, let me be clear about this. I didn't do anything to the color of my skin, because that's the first thing people are afraid of, is the whole blackface thing. Don't worry, there was none of that. I just put on the trench coat. What are you doing? You're just waiting for me. I put on the trench coat. I had the things in the side with the stakes in it. I had the sunglasses, and most people just assumed I was Neo, from the Matrix. And I just let them say that. It's like, whatever. I got the trench coat on. I do kind of look like Neo. I have stakes and stuff for killing vampires on me, but whatever. One person guessed that I was Morpheus, and I was like, I'm gonna struggle to understand how you got from me to Morpheus. Now that's the first thing, because it's like, why would you not immediately go to Neo, which is based on appearance? So the funny thing is, I had a friend, he's half black, half Italian. His name is Vinny. And I know, fucking super Italian name, right? So he's half black, half Italian. And I was 12 years old, so it was like one of the final years where I really did the whole trick-or-treat thing. People did it till they were like 14, 15 where I grew up. I stopped like that year or the year following, due to other reasons as well, though. And I walked by his house. I didn't even go up to his house. because Vinny likes to do dumb shit on Halloween, so I never ever want to fuck around with him. I walk past his house, and as I'm walking past, his family opens the door, goes, "It's Blade!" And I was like, how did you know from that distance with me, look at me, that I'm Blade, that I specifically picked the Blade outfit? And they're like, "I don't give a shit, you're Blade!" And then they poured the entire, and I mean the entire, like, bucket of candy into my pillowcase. Now, I never forgot that, because when I walked past them again about 6 hours later, they did it again. And the whole time I'm thinking, are they trying to kill me? Like, they know who I am because I'm Vinny's friend, but did he tell them this? And I never found out the truth. And so I was Blade. And this reminds me of that, because you just said, no, don't say what hint, because he's black. Thank you for the very, very good hint. No, he does not look like Luke Cage. Luke Cage has not had nearly as much beer and chicken as Sly has, like he does every week on State of the Realm. Every day I call him, he goes, "Yeah, I got chicken and beer." And I was like, "Do you eat anything but chicken and beer?" He's like, "I got pizza." I was like, "Sly, you need to, like, you need to get some greens." He's like, "I got collard greens." I was like, "You are so Southern, my friend. You are so fucking Southern." He's like talking about his shrimp and grits. I'm just like, all right, Sly, we gotta end this conversation, because I'm gonna go eat a New York strip or something like that. I need to eat some fucking food from the Northeast or some shit. Okay. No, he doesn't look like Luke Cage. I'm glad I got to share that story, because that was a good deal of fun. My cat is clearly sick of my shit, so I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you, everyone, for asking your questions for this week's Mondays with Mr. Happy. Video at the bottom again, or videos, however many I actually ended up doing. I did like 4 news videos in one day. I don't even know what videos I released this last week. But anyway, thank you again. We got some exciting stuff this week. Hopefully you're ready for Neo. Hopefully you're ready for Mobius, and hopefully you're ready for any more news we get about Final Fantasy 15, 14, anything. I need substance. Anyway, on that note, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next week. Be sure to ask your questions in the question thread in the description. I'll see you then. Until then, take care.